All right, guys. I'm Abby with More City Nerds, and we have our curtains up because we're in mourning right now, okay? We lost Logan, and I'm really sad about it. And hi to all the new subscribers. Welcome. Hopefully the third send-out of the prize from freaking February goes through to Mike. Otherwise, I'm going to lose it. But yeah, let's talk about Succession Episode 3. Someone left John Sand, who... Thank you for being here. I love your comments. I always do. Kelhound, Mike, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it so much. But he made a really great comment, and I'll put it up, where he was like, this was like Ned Stark, but drawn out through a whole episode. And that's a really great way to put it. And this episode in particular shows more than ever, and this is where I might start crying. That's why I have my picture of my uncle with me with my... Now, this was... My friend made this sticker of me, just so you guys know, prior to Succession being on. Oh, yeah, that's me and Mom at Disney World. And then that's me and my uncle. Now, that was when I was in freshman year. But, no, he was very Brian Cox looking. He spoke very much like him. If you could take Logan Roy and make him non-toxic and love his family more than anything, that was my Uncle Tom who raised me. And I lost him abruptly last year, and it sucks. So watching this family in such a relatable way, if you saw my short, I was bawling like a baby, because I think we can all... This is what this show does better than Suits, than Billions, than Ballers, than any of these other shows that have these rich people in these rich situations. We can't relate to that. I can't relate to that. Okay? I can't relate to that. Especially right now. Shoot. But remember, I'm on OnlyF because I can't get nothing. I'm screwed. But either way, we can relate to this, and especially that scene when they're all arguing and fighting back and forth, and that this is relatable. It doesn't matter if you're at the poverty line. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle class. It doesn't matter if you are in the 1%. Panicking about your dad falling out and having a heart attack or something we all can go through those things. I lost my dad when I was 6. My uncle raised me, and he passed away very quickly and very abruptly, and it was horrible, but that's exactly how it was going. I was in tears on the assembly line, and I left work at 6 in the morning, and I held his hand while he died, and it was like, I didn't even know if he could hear me. Like, he went nonverbal. It was horrible. It was terrible. It was awful. But do you want to know what it was like? Because my mom had to, make the choice to, pull the plug or not. And it was like that scene. I told her that. I go, you remember that scene in Game of Thrones? I go, without, the creepy and love part. I was like, you know that scene in Game of Thrones? And if you've read the books, Daenerys has a great monologue where she's like, this isn't life for Drogo. This isn't any kind of life. And she takes him out herself. I reminded my mom of that, and she was like, you're right. And it sucked. And it's like, I thought he couldn't hear me. And he could, because the second I got there, I just held his hand, and I was like, I'm right here, and I could just tell, because he had a lot of... It's funny what kills you, because it was like, it wasn't the... It's like, it was let him have his stupid Mountain Dew, because it ended up not being this obscure thing that he had his whole life that he was in pain from that killed him. It was a random brain tumor that nobody knew he had, and within a week he was gone, and it just sucked. Yeah, I think we can all relate to that, and especially when the anger comes out and the frustration comes out and there's nothing you can do. And I think they did a really good job with this of he's on a plane somewhere, there's nothing we can do. But sorry for getting emotional. I told you guys I'm going to cry through this whole thing. It might be a short one, guys. Out, and I thought this was a great way to do it. And that's what I'm saying. Mom is in a clinical depression, and we lost John Wick, and now we've lost Logan, these two titans, and Mom's not kidding when she says this stuff. She's real upset, she is, and it did suck. And then we got hit with The Mandalorian, and it's like, we really liked you a lot, but... You weren't up there with these guys, but still, it sucks, and it just is sad. But when you have, like I said in my John Wick review, such a badass like John Wick, you can't just have willy-nilly anybody take him out, you know what I mean? It's got to be a certain kind of way. And with Logan, I was like, I thought that his deathbed stuff would happen at the end of the season, not like this. And I was shocked. I was shocked, to say the least. And like I said, they did a very good job of that. But another thing this show does extremely well, besides the generational trauma, besides the cycles of abuse, it shows exactly how each kid reacts. I'm the baby. I'm Roman. So I identified with him the most. And it was rough. But, because the anger and then going, what did I do? And it sucks. And yeah, and guess what? My uncle could hear me because I came in and I put on the Pixies and he looked right at me and he knew, and it was great. And that it was, yeah. But the baby needs you the most, and we pretend like we're okay, but we're not. And yeah. And then the middle child is always trying to be the sturdy rock, and that's my sister. And the oldest is trying to pretend like everything's going to be okay, and they're not okay, and they're trying to stay stoic for everybody. And I thought they did a really good job, and they always have done that, of having these characters. They really showed the role of, like, how the baby's treated, how this one's treated, you know what I mean? Like, and we joke about it, but it's true. And I think this show does that very well. But prior to Logan going on the plane, we have them at Connor's wedding, and I really liked the way they were all kind of dressed like they were already at a funeral. Like, they weren't, I can't tell if Shiv or Kendall was in black, but one of them was in almost like a really dark navy. But either way, they looked like they were at a funeral going to Connor's wedding. And I already thought that was weird. And then I was like, oh no. And yeah, that's what happened. But he tells Roman, you need to get rid of Jerry, and we're going to pin all of Cruises on her. I think that's a terrible idea. But once again, the one thing I do truly believe about Logan Roy, and you can watch my video on him, is I do think he loves his kids. He doesn't know how to love right, but he loves his kids, and he wasn't about to let Kendall take that hit when he was like, it's smart, it works, but no. And the other one I felt really bad for and is super relatable is Tom, because I've always said this about Tom. Tom is the kid that hangs out with the bullies, that when you're in class with him, he's cool because he's not around them, but then once he's around his friends, he's a dick. He's pretending to be something he's not, but at this moment, he's not pretending. He's like, this is the right thing to do. And the fact that Shiv ignored the calls, I think, is going to get brought up, because Roman was like, oh, God, did you listen to the voicemail I left? And he's really worried about that. But Shiv was ignoring Tom's calls. She could have answered sooner. And it's like, those are the types of things that you beat yourself up about. When you lose somebody, you know, you're like, what if I should have did this? I should have done that. I should have picked up. I should have whatever. And it's like, you can't do that to yourself, you know? But I'm waiting for Shiv to be like, yeah, I was ignoring your goddamn calls, or for Tom to drop that bomb. But yeah, I felt like Tom was being genuine this entire episode. I feel like that's a relatable thing, and it's like, there were people that married, thank God, and I don't know if they watch these, but like Al, they're my family, they're married in, they're my family, Corey, they're my family. But they really stepped up to the plate, like when my uncle passed, like they were really there, like, you know, and they loved him too, but it's like, they had to be the outsider, like, either giving or getting or this information, you know, and they're upset too, but like, we're like, what the fucking fuck, you know? Truly do think Logan wanted all his kids to be safe, and so that's why he's like, blame it all on Jerry. But also, it looks really bad blaming the whole thing on a senior person in the company who's a woman. I feel like that's a really bad plan, especially the lawyer. So I'm really interested in the Jerry fighting back thing. I'm real excited to see what goes on there. And I've talked about this in my other video where Mom and me got into an argument. Frank is a snake. Frank is a rat. Frank is side by side with Kendall during the whole, sorry for my sniffles, it's allergies and I'm upset. Frank is a rat. Frank is a dirty rat. Frank was side by side with Kendall in the first season. And if you ever notice, he does little things, like even when Kendall calls him and is like, put me through the pilot. I realize that's an insane thing to ask. But even Frank's like kind of being weird in this episode. But in other episodes, specifically the one where Logan has the UTI, this is a great example of it. But if you watch through all the seasons, he's always doing this. Remember when Shiv thinks she did this great thing and saved everything, and then she goes to talk to her dad, and he's talking to Jerry, and he screams at her. And this is what I mean about the relatability. I think we've all been yelled at while our parents on the phone, and they're like, I'm on the phone. I'm talking to somebody. And that's exactly how Logan talks to his adult children, and he screams at Shiv to get away. He's talking to Jerry. But right before that, she's like, I did this great thing. And Frank is the one who's like, you should go say some words. And he's always doing sneak stuff like that. So I'm like, Frank is the one I'm most worried about. Cousin Greg, once again, no matter how you feel about him, has never truly gone against the family. You never go against the family, and he never has. I'm telling you, when it came down to it, my mom was looking at it like a Peter Pettigrew situation of, I'm going to hide behind the biggest and the baddest because I think I'm weak. Like, if it's not you, it's Voldemort. If it's not that, you know what I mean? Peter Pettigrew, sneak rat stuff. But I think Greg is more about, like, family. I'm going to stick with the family. Tom picked the company. I picked the family. And Greg has always done that. Even when he went to go talk to that author of that book, he panicked and was like, no, this isn't what I thought it was, and I don't want this. But he's never truly gone against Logan or the Roys. And even in his death, He's like, he might be weighing his options, and maybe the family is the best bet, but he's like, we're going to stick together because we're family. And I think that's what this is going to come down to, is these kids are going to have to come together. It's like them bringing back up the Greg being a creep thing, because whether or not he is like, he's sleeping around, whatever, you do you. But the problem is, and I'm assuming it's going to come back up, I don't know if Tom was telling the truth to Greg. And did you see how jealous Greg was getting when he's like, you got some new Gregs? But really, Tom didn't have any Gregs. But that was funny. Oh, but when Roman makes the joke about him being a creep, and I'm like, no, I really think this Greg making up the story about the Pierce woman being like drug-addled out of her mind. Yeah, that don't sound good, stupid. And remember, Tom tells him, like, you're going to get Me Too'd. I don't think the reason Logan didn't want him on that plane was because of Carrie. I think he didn't want him on that plane because he knows the rumors going on around Greg, and he can't be seen around that. And just like with Ford Motor Company where I worked, and not Ford, but the UAW, they like to pass things off to other people so that they don't have blame. So they go like, hey, you asked for this. Help, but I'm going to pass it off to this third party. Now, whatever you tell that third party, I don't know shit. So that's what Logan's doing when he's like, Roman, you fire Jerry. You do this. Now his hands are clean then. You feel me? You get what I'm saying? Oh my God, but Connor's wedding, how sad was that entire thing? And I liked when Connor's like, they're talking about rich people, but I did like Willa's mom. And you know, if you've been over here, you know, like secretly Willa is making the best of her situation. I feel the worst for her in her golden cage. I liked her and her mom talking. I liked the mom and Connor talking. I thought that was a very genuine moment. And I thought Connor telling Willa, like, I don't want you to run away was a genuine moment. Like when the mom was like, but they like your champagne just fine, don't they? And it was this thing where it's like, she's marrying into this big, okay, that's like a regular person marrying into this huge family. Of course, there's going to be average people there. One time, my friend from the plant, whose entire family worked at the factory, invited me to his sister's wedding, didn't tell me nothing. And they were marrying like a New York socialite, fancy pants. And we were the best dressed there. Definitely not the most expensive outfits though, but I was like, man, that girl's shoes cost more than my car. Like, you could have told me, dude, like, what? So also on top of their dad dying, they were around these, not people that weren't fanboying and fangirling over them, but these people that are like, oh, look it. And they're trying to deal with a death. Like, no matter what, a death is hard. I don't care who you are. The entire time we have Roman freaking, we have Shiv going, why didn't you tell me sooner? And like I said, this episode, they really go through every emotion that you feel when somebody dies. It's like anger, sad, frustrated, regret, remorse, all of that. The only one who doesn't get like that is Connor. And when they brought up the cake thing, I really hope they go into more about Connor's mom. Because when they started saying the thing about the cake and the loony cake, that was super sad. I definitely think that Carolina, Frank, Jerry, Carl had already been prepared to like, let's do this, let's go. Roman talking to Jerry and Jerry knowing some shit is up, like I wasn't invited on the trip, there's a problem. That was genuinely kind of sad. Like, this was a rough episode from start to finish. There was a few funny things, but this is a very serious season. And like I was saying in my last episode, I'm like, Logan Roy doesn't lower himself to go to a dive bar. I did not think he would live this season, but I definitely did not think it was going to be like this. But this is so relatable, and I love that they keep it grounded there, and that's why we love it. We can't relate to the 1% shit. We can relate to, I can't get to my dad, and I can't get to my parent who's passing away, and it sucks. And no matter what, no matter how much money I have, no matter how many jets I have, no matter how many cars I have, no matter how much I work, no matter how much I don't work, I can't do anything. And they did a really, really, really great job of showing how these powerful people had no power. Also, remember about Jess. I talked about Jess when I reviewed this last time. Thank you if you're still here, because those reviews were when I was still first like learning, and they're not good. I'm still learning, but these are better than they were before. But I go into detail about one, Willa is going to be the head of the operation. If Connor does get into office somehow anywhere, she would really be the one running it, which I love the irony of the stigma of this call girl actually is the one making smart decisions and making choices and doing all these things through this political person that has been around for everything. And I've been saying has been fed up with Kendall's shit for a minute. Jess, his assistant. And he calls her and says, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to bullshit you. My dad's dying. Point blank period. And he's honest with her, and you know Kendall trusts her, but she's been around for everything. And last season I was worried. I was like, she's gonna flip. She's sick of your shit. Because for a minute Kendall was really talking down to like staff and service people. For a minute he was doing that, but then he kind of stopped after he came clean about what happened with him and the waiter. I did like them because for a minute I think we all thought that. They were like, is this a test? And Shiv was like, if this is a test, this is beyond, like, you know. But this is when the kids find out the company's drafting up a statement. They're like, hell no, we're going to beat them to it. And this is when we see, and pretend it's a military. Pretend this is back in the day, swords and sandals, Game of Thrones, medieval stuff. This means like, no, My family's getting together. My blood is getting together. We're going to go against you. Let's go. I'm not going to allow you to go out and make a statement prior to us. I'm not going to allow you to go and inspire the troops or the people against us. And I liked when Shiv said, because if you notice, Shiv does messed up stuff. But throughout this, with Kendall, with Roman, she's always been like, are you okay? And then after Roman had his stuff in the Middle East, getting stuck in that hotel, he started being more like, can we talk about stuff, you know? And I feel like Shiv is the one who's gotten the grimiest. I was worried that Roman was going to get with the Swedish guy, with Madsen, the Skarsgård. But now I'm like, oh my God, is it going to be Shiv? Which one is it going to be? But I think Roman or Shiv is going to bang him or get with him or trick him or something. The kid said, I was hoping it was mom. That was rough. And that's what I was saying too. I'm like, where is the official This show's too good to not show us. On film, you need to show us, and we can only see and hear what they show us. You can do stuff off screen, but normally that's like a shitty cop-out. This show's too good to do that. Did we ever see an official divorce between Marcia and Logan? Does she have a right to come in and veto stuff? Her son runs half of animation, or runs all of animation in Europe. How much can she come in and block things or protect these kids if they need it? Because remember, like, Marcia really does kind of go up to Kendall a lot and is like, you're a good guy, like, I don't think Marcia's a total scumbag. I don't think you're the greatest, because I don't think anybody in this show is, but either way. Or does his ex-wife, do the Roy's mom have a right to things, or did she give it all away because of that guy she married? I don't know. Those are things I'm just pondering, because that's what Mom and I have been saying. I think that the last scene in season 3, Logan is truly proud of them, but he's pissed. And he wanted them to be united, but he knows, like, you're not strong enough to take this on. It's more of like this parent is just overbearing and worried, except he is toxic. I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm just saying, like, he wants you to be ready. He wants his blood to take over. He don't want them to, and he shouldn't have been doing what he did. But in the end, that's why he lowered himself and came to them in the karaoke episode. It's because he's like, I do want you to have this. I just can't say it. And I want his brother to show up. I really want Cousin Greg's grandpa to show up. Because how much power does he have? We don't know. What is in Logan Roy's will? We don't know how things are set up. And I think that's going to be the most interesting part. And I really liked Kendall saying, like, because at first Kendall and them are going, yeah, we'll go with the Bible, sell out, we'll hand over the crown. But then he's like, no, we ain't doing it. We ain't doing it. We're going to beat the company to a statement the second we get off this plane or boat or whatever it is. And they get off the boat, right? Or whatever, wherever they're at. And then they come off and they make their statement. And I thought it was very telling that Shiv did it, because Kendall had been such a control freak. But Roman is too emotional. Like I said, the baby. We can't do that right now. Any other time, ask us to do whatever. We can't do that right now. And I just thought it was really well done. And I don't know how much I can keep talking about this without bawling my eyes out. But I think the best line in this is, today, anything we do will be remembered as what we did when or whatever we say will be remembered as what we did when the day our father died. And Connor continuing to have his wedding, that's not going to look good. That's really not going to look good. But nobody being there. That was really symbolic and really well done. And if I can find the tweet, I'll put it up. Someone made a really good tweet where they were like, this was Connor's victory of, like, I'm finally free of my dad. But the truth is, to me, in my opinion, and I agreed with what they said, that's why I want to put it up there, but I also am like, Connor's been around longer than any of you. Do not underestimate him. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes. If you want to see me and Mom reacting to the trailer they dropped, it's up, but this was a rough one, and I think we can all relate to losing somebody and feeling the way all the Roy kids did. But, like, I keep praising this show for this. It's the relatability. That's why it's so good. It's the relatability. I can't relate to yachts and not having to worry about money, but I can relate to, I don't get along with this sibling as much, and you don't get along with that sibling as much, and we don't like their partner and whatever. Like, we can relate to that stuff. We can relate to, like, a toxic relationship with our family. We can all relate to that. And we can definitely relate to losing somebody we love. And it sucks. But I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. I'm on OnlyF. I'm on TikTok. But this one was rough for me. And this was hard. And that's why we have the curtain up. And we're mourning John Wick. And we're mourning Logan Roy. And we're mourning the character from The Mandalorian we just lost. But I don't want to say that one because that one hasn't been out as long. But yeah, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Make sure you comment or subscribe. It really, really helps me out. Yeah, somebody asked me, like, do you guys want to know the truth? I'll tell you the God's honest truth. You guys want to know how much money I've made monetized off this channel? I'll tell you how much YouTube pays through AdSense. I've made $51 since December and total. And I can't even have it because you can't pull the money out until you hit $100. And I'm like, because somebody messaged me that the other day. They were like, oh, yeah, well, you're monetized on there and you're doing, and I'm like, oh, you think I get money through YouTube? I'm like, no, but I'm trying to figure out a sponsorship. I think we're going to have merch soon, or at least we're going to try to. But yeah, this one was rough, guys. This one was rough. And do you know what? I don't know. But we're gonna keep going. Of course we're gonna keep going. We have to keep going. I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out my penguin reaction, you guys. Oh my god. I don't know if people know this, but that's why we're the Penguin Gang, was because I think that's how John from Movie Lovers Unite found me, because I didn't have a laptop, I didn't have nothing. I just started doing this with a tablet, and then I got this microphone with a ring light and an adapter into a tablet. Like, this is all held together with duct tape and like a dream. For real, it really is. And he was like, I saw you reacting to the Batman trailer when it first came out on your phone, and was like, that's ballsy. The truth is, I didn't know how to make you guys see it with me, and so I was like, whatever, I want to watch it, let's record it. And so yeah, but I've always been geeked about the Penguin. He's my favorite villain. And so then people started leaving penguins in the comments, and then I kept talking about the Penguin, and it became a joke. So that's why we leave penguins in the comments. God dang it, it's gonna take forever to upload now. Do you guys think that Carrie poisoned Logan, or somebody did something to him? Because I kind of think that might be the case too. And I was like, what if this whole show takes a turn and it's about who murdered him?